Sparks flew as Adam Gray pried open the Orion ship's mangled hull panel, revealing a tangled mess of exotic crystalline circuitry that would make most mechanics turn and run. But Adam wasn't most mechanics. Adam wiped sweat from his brow, his mind racing. The Orion pilot, Varys, hovered anxiously nearby, his earlier arrogance replaced by desperation. They both knew the stakes. If Adam couldn't repair the damage quickly, Varys would miss a critical peace summit, and the fragile truce in the Orion sector would shatter. "Don't worry, I've never met a ship I couldn't fix," Adam said with more confidence than he felt. In truth, he'd never seen tech this advanced. Quantum computing cores, self-healing nanopolymer alloys, holographic interfaces with no physical controls. The Orions were light years ahead of humanity in some ways. But in other ways, critical ways, they lagged behind, which is why ships like this ended up at Horizon Station. Human ingenuity, determination, and outside-the-box thinking had turned the remote repair yard into the busiest port in 5 sectors. Species from across the quadrant knew if you had an impossible problem, the mad Terrans at Horizon would find a way. That hard-earned reputation was both a blessing and a curse, however. Horizon's success bred resentment among certain factions, like the Orion Ascendancy, who weren't thrilled about relying on upstart primates to keep their fleet running. Adam understood the subtext when Varys said, "Don't make me regret this, human," before grudgingly leaving him to work. He could read between the lines. "You'd better not screw this up, or there will be consequences." Adam had barely begun his initial assessment when the distress calls started pouring in. Dozens of Orion ships, all suffering mysterious malfunctions, all demanding immediate assistance. The probability of so many ships having catastrophic failures at the same time, so close to Horizon, was near zero. Sabotage, then. But why? To discredit Horizon? Extort them? Or was this the prelude to something bigger, an attempt to seize control of the strategically vital station through engineered crisis? The only way to find out was to dive into the breach and start unraveling this mess, one sparking, smoking circuit at a time. This was Adam's element. Sink or swim, improvise or die. Do the impossible under impossible odds. The fate of the Orion sector, and perhaps Horizon itself, hung in the balance. But if anyone could puzzle out this technological enigma and pull victory from the jaws of disaster, it was the grease-stained miracle workers of Horizon. As the flood of crippled Orion ships threatened to drown Horizon Station in a sea of broken parts and desperate pleas, Adam knew he couldn't stem the tide alone. He needed backup, and fast. "Jack, Mike, drop whatever you're doing and get your asses over here," Adam barked into his comm unit. "We've got a Code Omega situation brewing." Jack Weaver, a wiry mechanic with a knack for jerry-rigging, and Mike Donovan, a burly ex-Marine turned wrench jockey, didn't need to be told twice. They split up to divide and conquer, each tackling a damaged vessel. Jack clambered into an Orion freighter's guts, tracing the ship's power grid. His eyes narrowed as he spotted a fried control module, its circuitry slagged beyond recognition. But this was no ordinary malfunction. The blackened scorch marks radiated from a central point, as if the module had been deliberately overloaded by a targeted surge. "Adam, get a load of this," Jack called out, holding up the destroyed component. "I'd bet my last credit this was sabotage. Somebody fried this thing remotely." Adam's mind focused as he examined the module. His hunch had just become a cold certainty. Across the hangar, Mike wrestled with the engines of a sleek Orion yacht, its curves screaming luxury and speed. As he worked, the yacht's owner, a high-ranking Orion diplomat named Keylor, hovered nearby. "Such a shame having to rely on humans for repairs," Keylor mused, his tone a mix of condescension and frustration. "But I suppose even your kind has its uses." Mike bit his tongue, focusing on the job, but Keylor continued, his words taking on a sharper edge. "Of course, some in the Ascendancy believe your species is becoming a bit too influential for its own good. There are whispers that it may be time to remind you of your place." Mike's head snapped up, his eyes locking with Keylor's. The Orion diplomat blanched, realizing he'd said too much. Meanwhile, Adam grappled with Varys's ship, his efforts to repair the damage repeatedly stymied by cascading system failures. It was as if the vessel had a mind of its own, actively resisting his attempts to fix it. "What the hell is with this ship?" Adam muttered under his breath, sweat beading his brow. Suddenly, a distress call pierced through the chaos. A human freighter, under attack by Orion raiders, its crew begging for aid. Adam hesitated, torn between his duty to Varys and the desperate pleas of his own kind. But there was no choice. Not really. He couldn't abandon the freighter to its fate. "Varys, your ship's in no shape to fly, but it'll have to do," Adam said, his voice brooking no argument. "You're coming with me. We've got a freighter to save." Varys, stunned by the sudden turn of events, found himself strapped into the co-pilot's seat as Adam gunned the ship's semi-repaired engines. They shot out of Horizon's hangar, the wounded vessel shuddering and groaning, but holding together through sheer force of will. The freighter loomed ahead, its hull scored by energy blasts as Orion raiders swarmed around it like hungry wolves. But Adam was already in motion, his hands flying across the unfamiliar controls with instinctive skill. The ship's weapons, suddenly flaring to life, spat lances of searing light that cut through the raiders' formation, sending them scattering. In a dizzying display of piloting prowess, Adam wove through the chaos, disabling raider after raider with surgical precision until the freighter was clear. Varys watched in slack-jawed amazement, his preconceptions about human ability crumbling to dust. He'd never seen anyone fly like that, let alone in a half-broken ship. As Adam brought the battered vessel back to Horizon, the magnitude of what had just happened began to sink in. He'd just saved a freighter full of humans, using an Orion ship, a ship that, if he was right, had been deliberately sabotaged to fail when it was needed most. "Varys," Adam said slowly, piecing it together, "I think your own people set you up. They wanted your ship to break down, to make us look bad." Varys's eyes widened, the implications hitting him like a punch to the gut. Back on the station, Jack and Mike had uncovered a disturbing pattern in the stricken Orion ships. Each one bore signs of the same kind of sabotage, a coordinated effort to sow chaos and discord, and all roads seemed to lead back to a single faction, the Ascendancy. But before they could dig deeper, a shadow fell across Horizon. A massive Orion battlecruiser, its hull jam packed with weaponry, hung in space like a great predator. "Attention Horizon Station," a cold, imperious voice boomed across the comm channels. "By order of the Orion Ascendancy, this facility is now under our control. Stand down and prepare to be boarded." Adam, Varys, Jack, and Mike stared at each other in shocked disbelief as heavily armed Orion troops poured from the battlecruiser, surging towards the station's airlocks like a tidal wave. The battle for Horizon had begun, and the fate of the station, and perhaps the entire human-Orion alliance, hung in the balance. The first Orion troops burst through Horizon's airlocks in a storm of plasma fire and shrapnel. Alarms blared as Adam, Jack, and Mike scrambled for cover behind a row of cargo containers. "Shit, we need weapons," Jack yelled over the chaos. Adam's eyes darted around the hangar, spotting a rack of welding torches. "Improvise. Grab anything you can use." The three mechanics dove for the tools, snatching up acetylene torches, plasma cutters, and magnetic clamps. Mike hefted a pneumatic bolt driver like a club. "It's not pretty, but it'll have to do," Adam said, igniting his torch with a hiss of blue flame. As Orion soldiers poured into the bay, a familiar voice rang out behind them. "Wait! I'm with you!" Adam spun to see Varys sprinting towards them, dodging blaster fire. "What the hell are you doing?" Varys skidded to a stop beside them. "Choosing a side. I know their tactics, their tech. I can help." Adam hesitated for a split second, then nodded. "All right, what have you got?" "Their armor is weakest at the joints," Varys said, pointing, "and their sensors can't penetrate dense smoke." "Smoke, huh?" Mike grinned, grabbing a canister of oil. "I can work with that." As Mike rigged a makeshift smoke bomb, a towering Orion in ornate battle armor strode through the chaos. His voice boomed through an amplifier. "I am Commander Zane of the Ascendancy. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick." "Like hell," Adam muttered. He turned to his team. "We hold this line, no matter what." The humans and Varys dug in, unleashing a barrage of improvised weaponry as Orion troops advanced. Jack's plasma cutter sliced through armor joints. Mike's smoke bombs disoriented entire squads. Adam's torch became a deadly flamethrower. But for every Orion that fell, two more took their place. Zane's forces pushed relentlessly forward, their superior firepower slowly overwhelming the defenders. "We can't hold," Jack shouted as a plasma bolt seared past his head. Adam gritted his teeth. "Fall back, to the main corridor." They retreated deeper into the station, Varys providing cover fire with a captured Orion weapon. But Adam knew they were only delaying the inevitable. As they reached a junction, a desperate plan formed in Adam's mind. "The sabotaged ships," he said. "We can use them." "Use them how?" Mike asked, panting. "As bombs. Their power cores are already unstable. If we can trigger an overload..." Varys' eyes widened. "It could work, but we'd need to reach the docking bays." Adam nodded grimly. "Jack, Mike, cover us. Varys, you're with me." The two sprinted for the docking bays as Jack and Mike laid down suppressing fire. They reached the damaged Orion vessels just as Zane's troops closed in for the kill. "How long do you need?" Varys asked, blasting away at the advancing soldiers. Adam's hands flew over the ship's systems, rigging them to overload. 30 seconds! "We don't have 30 seconds. But they did, just barely. As the last connection was made, Adam slammed his hand on the remote detonator. The resulting explosion rocked the entire station. A wall of fire and debris tore through the Orion ranks, scattering them like leaves in a storm. In the stunned silence that followed, a new voice crackled over the comms. "This is Thalos, second in command of the Ascendancy forces. I wish to propose a truce." Adam exchanged wary glances with Varys. "Why should we trust you?" "Because this conflict is pointless," Thalos replied. "We're prepared to withdraw if you agree to share your repair techniques and establish a joint operation here." Varys translated the offer to Adam, whose mind raced. They were low on ammo, outnumbered, with mounting casualties. But could they really trust any Orion? "We'll consider it," Adam said finally. "But Zane goes. He's too dangerous to leave in command." There was a pause, then Thalos' voice returned. "Agreed. I'll handle Zane personally." As Thalos confronted his superior, tension crackled through the air. Adam and his team watched from their positions, hardly daring to breathe. Suddenly, Zane lashed out, his plasma rifle discharging wildly. The bolt struck a power conduit, triggering a massive explosion that engulfed the Orion commander. When the smoke cleared, Zane lay dead, and Thalos, though wounded, was calling for a ceasefire. Adam, Jack, Mike, and Varys emerged cautiously from cover, surveying the devastation. Horizon Station was battered and scarred, but still standing. As medical teams rushed to treat the wounded, Adam couldn't shake a gnawing feeling in his gut. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. The battle for Horizon had only just begun. The dust settled on Horizon Station, but the real work was just beginning. Adam stood before a mixed group of human mechanics and Orion technicians, their faces a mix of wariness and curiosity. "All right, listen up," Adam called out, his voice echoing through the hangar. "We've got a station to rebuild and a partnership to forge. It won't be easy, but we'll do it together." He gestured to Thalos, who nodded solemnly. "Humans will maintain oversight, but we're integrating operations. That means learning from each other." The first few days were rough. Orion crew members bristled at human protocols, their frustration evident in clenched jaws and terse words. "No, no, no," Adam sighed, watching an Orion fumble with a human-designed plasma cutter. "Here, let me show you." He demonstrated the technique, his hands moving with practiced ease. The Orion's eyes widened as he saw the efficiency of the method. Across the hangar, Varys was explaining Orion propulsion systems to a group of human engineers. Their excited chatter filled the air as they discovered new possibilities. Weeks passed. Slowly, the tension eased. Adam's patience and willingness to listen won over even the most skeptical Orions. They began to see the humans not as primitives, but as ingenious problem solvers. One night, as Adam and Varys shared a meal in the mess hall, Mike burst in, his face pale. "You need to see this," he said, slapping a data pad on the table. Adam scanned the decrypted Ascendancy communications, his blood running cold. They planned it all. The sabotage, the attacks. It was meant to provoke a war. Varys leaned in, his expression grim. And there are still cells out there waiting to strike. Before they could discuss further, alarms blared throughout the station. A massive Orion dreadnought had appeared on long-range sensors, bearing down on Horizon with alarming speed. "It's Brax," Varys spat, recognizing the ship's signature. "He's come to finish what the Ascendancy started." Adam and Varys raced to the control room, barking orders as they went. "Divert all power to shields. Prep every weapon we've got." They worked feverishly, modifying Horizon's defensive systems on the fly, human and Orion knowledge melding in a desperate bid for survival. As the dreadnought closed in, Jack burst into the room. "I found something. A flaw in the ship's design. We could use it to—" "To what?" Adam asked, not looking up from his console. Jack hesitated. "To destroy it, but it would kill everyone on board." Adam's hands stilled. He looked at Varys, saw the same conflict in his friend's eyes. "No," Adam said firmly. "We find another way." The dreadnought loomed ever closer, its weapons charging. Adam and Varys worked furiously, their fingers flying over consoles, voices raised in a mixture of human and Orion technical jargon. Suddenly, a new voice crackled over the comms. "This is Thalos, Horizon Station. Do you copy?" A cheer went up as a fleet of loyalist Orion ships dropped out of FTL, surrounding Brax's dreadnought. "Now!" Varys shouted, activating their jury-rigged defenses. A pulse of energy erupted from Horizon, momentarily disabling the dreadnought's systems. In that instant, Thalos' ships struck, disabling engines and weapons. "Varys," Thalos' voice came again, "we need you to lead the boarding party." Without hesitation, Varys grabbed a plasma rifle and headed for the airlock. Adam caught his arm. "Good luck," he said simply. Hours later, a battered but triumphant Varys returned, Brax in restraints behind him. As the immediate danger passed, the real work began anew. Human and Orion crews worked side by side, their combined knowledge unlocking technological marvels. Word spread quickly. Soon, ships from across the galaxy were lining up, eager to experience the miracles of Horizon Station. Adam watched from the observation deck as a massive Zoax cruiser docked, its captain practically salivating at the thought of human-Orion hybrid upgrades. "Looks like we've got our work cut out for us," Varys said, joining him at the window. Adam grinned, clapping his friend on the shoulder. Wouldn't have it any other way. Adam wiped the sweat from his brow as he stepped back from the hulking Gorgon freighter, its engines now purring contentedly. He glanced at the queue of ships stretching across Horizon's massive docking bay, each one a new puzzle waiting to be solved. "Next!" he called out, gesturing to a sleek vessel that had just limped into the station. The ship's hull gleamed despite the scorch marks and impact craters peppering its surface. Adam whistled low. Zarthanian design. Rare to see one this far out. As the ship settled into the repair cradle, a hatch hissed open. 3 tall, willowy aliens emerged, their iridescent skin shimmering under the bay lights. "Welcome to Horizon," Adam said, approaching with an outstretched hand. "I'm Adam Gray. What seems to be the trouble?" The lead Zarthanian hesitated before grasping Adam's hand. "I am Zal. We encountered difficulties while exploring an uncharted region. Pirates." Adam nodded, circling the ship. His trained eye cataloged the damage, plasma scoring on the port nacelles, microfractures along the hull plating, a coolant leak from the starboard thruster assembly. "Nasty business," he murmured, "but nothing we can't handle. Varys, Jack, Mike, we've got a special project here." As his team assembled, Adam led the Zarthanians on a tour of their vessel's exterior, explaining the necessary repairs. The aliens seemed distracted, exchanging furtive glances. "Something else on your minds?" Adam asked casually. Zal's posture stiffened. "No, we simply wish for swift repairs so we may depart." Adam shrugged. "Fair enough. Let's take a look inside, get a full diagnostic running." The moment Adam stepped into the ship's interior, his instincts prickled. The layout was off. Too many hidden compartments, too much wasted space for a simple explorer vessel. As Varys ran a systems check, a muffled thud echoed from deep within the ship. Adam's head snapped up, meeting Zal's panicked gaze. "What was that?" Adam asked quietly. Zal's companions shifted nervously. "Nothing. Faulty gravity plating, perhaps?" Another thud, then a voice, barely audible. "Help us!" In an instant, Adam had Zal pinned against the bulkhead. "What's really going on here?" Zal sagged in defeat. "Please, we had no choice." A hidden panel slid open, revealing a group of haggard Zarthanians huddled in a cramped compartment. Their leader, a female with fierce eyes, stepped forward. "I am Loris," she said. "We are refugees, fleeing persecution. Our government, they would see us dead for speaking the truth." Adam released Zal, his mind racing. He'd heard whispers of unrest on Zarthan, but nothing concrete. "You lied to get access to Horizon," he stated flatly. Loris nodded. "We feared you would turn us away otherwise. Please, we only seek repairs so we may reach Sanctuary." Varys appeared at Adam's side, his voice low. "This is against protocol. We should alert station security." Adam studied the fear etched on the refugees' faces. He thought of Earth's own turbulent history, of those who had stood up against injustice. "No," he said finally, "we helped them." Varys' eyes widened. "Adam, the risks." "If it were humans fleeing oppression," Adam countered, "wouldn't we hope an alien race would show us the same compassion?" A long moment passed before Varys nodded slowly. "You're right, but we do this carefully." As they worked, Mike's curiosity got the better of him. He delved into the ship's quantum data vaults, his fingers flying across the interface. "Holy shit," he breathed. "Adam, you need to see this." The logs detailed a chilling plan. Bioweapons designed for ethnic cleansing, targeting specific Zarthanian subgroups. "This is what we're fighting against," Loris said softly. "If we can broadcast this evidence across Zarthan." A proximity alarm blared, cutting her off. On the main view screen, a menacing vessel dropped out of hyperspace, overflowing with weapons and bearing Zarthanian military markings. "They've found us," Zal whispered, terror in his eyes. Adam's mind raced. "Jack, I need you to rig some holo projectors. Make it look like their ship is still docked here. Mike, finish those repairs. Varys, prep for immediate launch. We've got minutes, people." As Zarthanian troops began a systematic search of Horizon's docked vessels, Adam's team worked with frantic precision. Sweat beaded on Jack's forehead as he calibrated the holographic decoys. Mike cursed under his breath, fingers flying as he coaxed the last bit of power from the repaired systems. "Now or never," Adam shouted as booted feet echoed down the corridor outside. The rebel ship's engines roared to life. Jack's hologram shimmered into place just as the real vessel slipped free of its docking clamps. They streaked past the Zarthanian cruiser, already accelerating towards the jump point. "They're powering weapons," Varys called out. But it was too late. The rebel ship vanished into hyperspace, its precious cargo of truth racing towards Zarthan. Adam sagged against the nearest console, heart pounding. He knew this was only the beginning. Horizon had just taken its first steps onto a much larger stage, and the galaxy would never be the same. Adam stood at the viewport of Horizon Station, his eyes fixed on the endless stream of ships docking and departing. The once quiet outpost now hummed with constant activity, a testament to humanity's growing influence in the galaxy. "Another request for ship upgrades," Varys said, handing Adam a datapad. "This time from the Joax Confederation." Adam sighed, running a hand through his hair. "We're at capacity. We can't keep up with demand." An idea struck him. He turned to Varys, a glint in his eye. What if we built something bigger? Much bigger. Weeks later, Adam found himself addressing the coalition leadership. He paced before the holographic display, gesturing to the blueprints of an immense structure. The Horizon Citadel, he announced. A mobile fortress, advanced shipyard, and cultural hub all in one. This is our chance to cement humanity's place as champions of progress and cooperation. After hours of debate and scrutiny, the project was greenlit. Adam wasted no time assembling his team. Varys, I need you as lead engineer. Your expertise with Orion tech will be crucial. The Orion's eyes widened. Me? But I'm not even human. Adam clasped his shoulder. Exactly. This isn't just a human endeavor. It's for all of us. He turned to Jack and Mike. Jack, you're heading weapons development. Mike, I want you overseeing all computer systems and cyber defense. The construction site buzzed with activity. Swarms of automated drones ferried materials harvested from nearby asteroids. Varys barked orders as massive hull segments were maneuvered into place. No, the power conduits need to be realigned. He gestured frantically to a team of human and Orion engineers. If we don't get this right, the whole grid could overload. Years passed. The Citadel took shape, a breathtaking latticework of interconnected modules stretching for kilometers. At its heart lay the crown jewel, a shipyard unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. Adam watched as the first ship rolled off the assembly line. Its sleek hull gleamed, a perfect fusion of human ingenuity and Orion technology. Beautiful, isn't she? A voice said behind him. Adam turned to see a Zarthanian delegation led by their newly elected president. We'd like to commission an entire exploratory fleet, the president said, to map uncharted regions and seek out new civilizations. As human and Zarthanian engineers pored over schematics, Adam felt a swell of pride. This was what he'd dreamed of. Different species working together, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. But with success came new challenges. Varys's voice crackled over the comm. Adam, we've got a situation. Orion insurgents attacking a supply convoy. Adam raced to the command center. Status? Varys's fingers flew over the controls. Orbital defense grid engaging. We've driven them off for now, but they'll be back. Meanwhile, Mike was knee-deep in code, his face illuminated by holographic displays. These cyber attacks are getting more sophisticated, he muttered. But they picked the wrong station to mess with. The threats kept coming. Adam found himself in the bowels of the Citadel, confronting a group of alien saboteurs attempting to contaminate a new fuel system. Stand down, he ordered, weapon raised. This Citadel stands for peace. I won't let you destroy that. But the gravest danger came from within. Jack burst into Adam's office, face pale. We've intercepted a transmission. Zarthanian extremists. They're planning to release a biotoxin in the civilian sectors. Adam's blood ran cold. Assemble a team, we're going in. Hours later, Adam watched as Jack led a squad of Marines through the hydroponics district. His heart pounded as they closed in on the terrorists' location. Now! Jack's voice rang out. Stun grenades flashed. In moments, it was over. The threat neutralized. In the aftermath, Adam stood before a sea of faces. Human, Orion, Zarthanian, and a dozen other species, all united under the Citadel's vast dome. Today we faced a test, he began. And we prevailed. Not through strength of arms, but through the strength of our unity. This Citadel stands as a testament to what we can achieve together. And together, we will face whatever challenges the galaxy throws our way. The crowd erupted in cheers. As Adam looked out over the sea of diverse faces, he knew that despite the obstacles, the dream of interstellar cooperation was alive and thriving. The Horizon Citadel would continue to shine as a beacon of hope across the stars. Adam Gray stood at the command deck of the Horizon Citadel, his eyes fixed on the holographic display of an approaching vessel. The ship's cloaking technology was impressive, barely registering on their most advanced sensors. Sir, the shuttle is requesting docking clearance, a young officer reported. Adam nodded, his brow furrowed. Grant them access, but keep our security teams on high alert. As the mysterious craft glided into the docking bay, Adam made his way down to greet their unexpected visitor. The shuttle's sleek design was unlike anything he'd ever seen, its hull seeming to shimmer and shift under the bay's harsh lighting. With a soft hiss, the craft's airlock cycled open. Adam's hand instinctively moved to his sidearm as a figure emerged. What he saw made him freeze in place. The being before him was pure energy, a swirling vortex of light and color contained within a vaguely humanoid form. Its voice, when it spoke, seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "I am Halrax, emissary of the Pandorans. We must speak with your council immediately." Adam swallowed hard, forcing his voice to remain steady. "Follow me." As they made their way through the Citadel's corridors, heads turned and conversations hushed. The air itself seemed to crackle with an otherworldly energy. In the council chambers, Varys, Jack, Mike, and the others waited. Their faces showed a mix of awe and apprehension as Halrax's radiant form filled the room. "Esteemed members of the Citadel," Halrax began, its voice resonating through their very bones, "I bring grave news." The being's form shimmered, projecting images of devastation on a cosmic scale. Entire star systems winked out of existence in the blink of an eye. "A separatist faction has obtained weapons of unimaginable power," Halrax continued. "Pandoran purge arrays, capable of extinguishing all life across vast swaths of space." Mike leaned forward, his face pale. "How is that even possible?" "The arrays disrupt the very energy fields that support cellular cohesion," Halrax explained. "1 million worlds have already fallen. We must act swiftly to prevent further loss of life." Adam's mind reeled at the implications. "What can we do?" Halrax projected a series of complex data streams. "These encrypted fragments hold the key to locating the next target, but our kind cannot decipher them. We need organic minds, innovative thinkers." Mike's eyes lit up with tenacity. "My team can crack this. We'll work around the clock if we have to." As Mike set to work, Adam and Varys delved into the xenoforensic data Halrax provided. Hours stretched into days as they pored over the information. "Adam, look at this," Varys said, his voice tight with concern. He pointed to a series of energy signatures. "These patterns, they're eerily similar to reports of pansyndicate attacks from centuries ago." Adam's blood ran cold. "The pansyndicate? I thought they were wiped out." "It seems they've returned," Varys replied grimly. "And they're more dangerous than ever." The pieces began to fall into place. The Separatists weren't just xenophobes. They were pansyndicate revivalists, hell-bent on achieving some twisted form of cosmic perfection through mass extinction. As the full horror of the situation became clear, Mike burst into the room, his face flushed with excitement and fear. "We've got it," he exclaimed. "The target coordinates, but we had to use the quantum wetware mainframe to crack it." Adam's eyes widened. "You linked the alien data to our experimental biotech system?" Mike nodded. "It was the only way. The organic components allowed for intuitive leaps our standard computers couldn't make." A holographic star map flickered to life, zooming in on a bustling star system. "Cianellin," Adam breathed. "Billions of lives, shipyards, agricultural hubs. If that system falls—" He didn't need to finish the thought. They all knew the devastating ripple effect it would have across coalition space. Adam's voice rang out, filled with purpose. "Assemble our best. Human Marines, Orion Rangers, Zarthani Inspectors. We split into 2 teams. Varys, you'll lead the infiltration squad to disable the array. I'll command the Defiance and run interference." As the council chamber emptied, its members rushing to prepare for the coming battle, Halrax's form pulsed with an urgent energy. "There is one more thing you must know," the Pandaren emissary intoned. "Once the array's activation sequence begins, it cannot be stopped through conventional means. You must completely destroy its primary nodes, or all will be lost." Adam nodded grimly, the weight of countless lives settling on his shoulders. He strode towards the docking bay where the Defiance waited, each step filled with purpose. The newly commissioned dreadnought hummed with power as Adam took his place on the bridge. Around him, a mix of human and alien crew members worked in perfect unison, a testament to the cooperation the Citadel fostered. "All systems go, sir," his first officer reported. Adam's eyes narrowed as he gazed at the view screen, countless stars stretched before them. "Engage warp drive," he ordered. "Let's go safeguard the galaxy." The Defiance leapt forward, streaking towards Cianellan and the deadly threat that awaited them. The Defiance erupted from warp space, the Cianellan system materializing before them. Adam Gray stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Incoming!" shouted the sensor officer. A storm of energy beams lanced across space, slamming into the Defiance's shields. The ship shuddered under the assault. "Regenerative shielding at 78% and holding," reported the defense officer. "Those Pan-Syndicate strike craft pack a punch." Adam's fingers flew across the command console. "All ships, form up. Defensive pattern Epsilon." The Coalition fleet moved with practiced precision, capital ships anchoring themselves in a protective sphere. "Fighter wings Alpha through Delta. Clear us a path to the fourth planet," Adam ordered. "We need to get Varys's team planet-side." As Coalition fighters engaged the nimble Pan-Syndicate craft, Varys piloted his stealth shuttle through the chaos. The small craft bucked and rolled, narrowly avoiding streams of plasma fire. 30 seconds to atmospheric entry, Varys announced to his team. "Prepare for drop." The shuttle pierced the planet's ionosphere, alarms blaring as the heat of re-entry built up. Varys's hand hovered over the release control. "Now!" The bay doors opened, and the strike team plummeted into the alien sky. Wind howled around them as they fell, the ground rushing up to meet them. "Shock beacons active!" shouted a human operative. Their descent slowed abruptly, the shock beacons creating a cushion of energy. They landed hard but safely, immediately fanning out into defensive positions. Before them loomed a nightmarish structure. Towering obsidian obelisks pulsed with otherworldly energy, feeding streams of power into a central nexus. At its heart, a sphere of pure destruction grew larger by the second. "By the ancestors," whispered an Orion Ranger. "We're too late. They've started the sequence." Varys checked his chronometer. "We have hours at most. Move out." The strike team advanced, only to be met by a hail of weapons fire. Separatist cultists, their eyes wild with fanatical fervor, poured from hidden bunkers. "Take cover!" Varys shouted, diving behind a rocky outcropping. As the firefight intensified, robotic sentries joined the fray, their automated weapons laying down a withering field of fire. In orbit, Adam guided the Defiance through the heart of the Separatist fleet. The Dreadnought's weapons blazed, Hellfire plasma and Nova Busters tearing through enemy ships. "Direct hit on their flagship," reported the weapons officer. Adam nodded grimly. "Press the attack. We need to buy Varys more time." On the planet's surface, Varys and his team fought their way into the array's central chamber. The pulsating sphere of annihilation dominated the room, filling the air with an otherworldly hum. "We need to take out those obelisks simultaneously," Varys said, his voice tight. "Split up. Each team takes a spire." As the infiltrators fanned out, Coalition Marines and Orion Rangers engaged the Separatist security forces in brutal close-quarters combat. Adam's voice crackled over the comm. "Varys, we're diverting orbital assets for support. It's going to leave us exposed up here." "Understood," Varys replied. "We'll make it count." The Defiance shuddered as another volley of enemy fire slammed home. Warning klaxons blared across the bridge. "Shields failing," shouted the defense officer. "We can't take much more of this." Adam gripped the command rail, his fist clenched. "Hold the line. We just need a few more minutes." On the ground, Varys's team reached their assigned obelisks. They worked feverishly, planting demolition charges as Separatist forces closed in from all sides. "Charges set," came the reports one by one. Varys took a deep breath. "On my mark. 3, 2, 1, now." A series of detonations rocked the complex. The obsidian obelisks cracked and shattered, their energies released in a cataclysmic burst. The containment sphere at the heart of the array fluctuated wildly. For a moment, it seemed to expand, threatening to engulf everything. Then, with a sound like reality itself tearing, it collapsed in on itself and winked out of existence. A stunned silence fell over the battlefield. Varys stared at the empty space where annihilation had loomed mere seconds ago. "We did it," he breathed. "We actually did it." But there was no time to celebrate. Adam's voice cut through the moment, urgent and strained. "Varys, we've got a problem. Separatist forces are regrouping. They're not done yet." The Defiance limped back to Horizon Citadel, hull scarred and systems strained. Adam Gray stood on the command deck, watching as repair drones swarmed over the battered Coalition fleet. "Status report," he barked. A junior officer stepped forward. "Sir, long-range scans have detected Separatist activity near the Nexus Foundry complex." Adam's eyes narrowed. "Show me." A holographic display flickered to life, revealing a distant star system. At its heart, an sprawling automated facility churned out critical materials for Coalition shipyards. "If they take out that complex," Adam trailed off, mind racing. "We'd lose our ability to maintain the fleet," Varys finished, stepping onto the bridge. "We'd be sitting ducks." Adam nodded grimly. "Assemble the War Council, now." Minutes later, Adam stood before his most trusted commanders. Jack, Mike, Varys, and others listened intently as he laid out the stakes. "The Separatists are gearing up for one last push," Adam explained. "We need to outmaneuver them." He gestured to the holographic display. "Varys, you'll lead a defensive force to the Foundry. Make it look good. We want them to commit everything they've got." Varys nodded, understanding dawning in his eyes. "A feint." "Exactly," Adam continued. "Meanwhile, I'll take the Defiance on a strike mission deep into Separatist territory." He pulled up an image of an imposing structure, a derelict temple complex on a distant, sunless world. "Intel suggests this is where they're storing the Pandoran artifacts," Adam explained. "The tech they used to build those purge arrays. We take that, we might just end this war." The room erupted in a flurry of activity as orders were issued and plans set in motion. Hours later, Adam stood on the bridge of the Defiance as it prepared to jump. "All systems go, sir," his XO reported. Adam took a deep breath. "Execute micro-warp sequence." The Defiance leapt forward, reality twisting around it. They emerged in a hail of weapons fire. "Evasive maneuvers!" Adam shouted as the ship rocked under the assault. The Defiance danced through space, dodging energy beams and torpedo spreads. Ahead, a shimmering minefield blocked their path. "Interdictor mines," the helmsman called out. "We can't jump through that." Adam's mind raced. "Full power to forward shields. We're punching through." The Defiance plowed forward, mines detonating against its reinforced prow. Alarms blared as systems overloaded, but they made it through. Before them loomed their target, a massive temple complex on a frigid, airless world. Separatist warships swarmed around it like angry insects. "Landrakers, fire!" Adam ordered. The Defiance's main guns roared to life, hypersonic projectiles streaking towards the planet's surface. They impacted with terrifying force, carving a path through the Separatist defenses. "Strike teams, deploy!" Adam commanded, racing towards the hangar bay. He boarded a waiting shuttle, joining a mix of human Marines, Zarthani inspectors, and Orion Rangers. The small craft plummeted through the atmosphere, dodging anti-aircraft fire. They hit the ground hard, boots crunching on the icy surface. Adam led the charge towards the temple's yawning entrance. "Multiple contacts!" a Marine shouted as Separatist cultists poured from hidden bunkers. The air filled with weapons fire. Adam dove for cover, plasma bolts sizzling past. He returned fire, his rifle spitting death. They fought their way deeper into the complex, blasting through energy barriers and ancient wards. Finally, they reached the central chamber, a towering ziggurat of gleaming metal. By the stars, Mike breathed, staring at the alien technology that filled the room. Adam tapped his comm. Cyber team, get that data core isolated. We can't let them trigger a purge. As his troops worked, Adam received an urgent transmission from Jack. Sir, Varys is pinned down at the foundry. We need reinforcements. Adam's eyes fell on a strange device near the vault's entrance. Use this, he ordered. It should punch through their interdiction field. With the data core secured and reinforcements pouring in, victory seemed within reach. Then all hell broke loose. Separatist suicide squads swarmed the chamber. In the chaos, a dying cultist activated some kind of dead man switch. The very air began to vibrate as quantum instability spread throughout the vault. We need to abort this meltdown, Adam shouted to Varys over the din. Find that key. They raced through the disintegrating chamber, searching desperately for anything that might halt the cascading entropic reaction. Time was running out. The air crackled with otherworldly energy as Adam and Varys sprinted through the collapsing Forge Temple. Reality itself seemed to warp around them, the very fabric of space-time unraveling at the seams. We need to split up, Adam shouted over the cacophony of alarms and rumbling stone. I'll take the Marines to the portal chamber. You get Mike's team on those quantum matrices. Varys nodded, his face etched with unyielding commitment. Good hunting, old friend. Adam charged down a twisting corridor, his squad of battle-hardened Marines at his heels. They burst into the portal chamber, a cavernous space dominated by a pulsing singularity that threatened to tear the world apart. Deploy the entropy baffles, Adam ordered, gesturing to strange devices of alien design. The Marines moved with practiced efficiency, positioning the baffles around the singularity. As they activated, shimmering fields of energy sprang to life, slowing the spread of entropic chaos. Meanwhile, Varys raced to the central control hub where Mike's cyber warfare team furiously worked their consoles. Holographic displays flickered and warped, showing the accelerating decay of the vault's systems. We need that counterpulse, Varys barked. How close are we? Mike's fingers flew across his interface. We've breached the outer firewalls, but the core defenses are like nothing I've ever seen. It's going to be close. Outside the doomed structure, coalition ships under Jack's command broke through the last of the separatist blockade. Jack stood on the bridge of his flagship, surveying the chaotic battlefield. His comm crackled to life with an incoming transmission. This is High Command. The artifact vault must not fall into enemy hands. You are authorized to use all necessary force to contain the breach. Repeat, deny the vault to the separatists at all costs. Jack's face paled as the implications sank in. He keyed his comm. Understood, Command. May the stars forgive us. With a heavy heart, Jack issued new orders. Heavy weapons platforms moved into position around the ziggurat, their targeting systems locking onto the ancient structure. Inside the vault, Varys' team finally located the absorption codices. A cheer went up from the cyber warfare squad, but it was short-lived. Alarms blared as new warnings flashed across their screens. No, Mike shouted. The codices are degrading faster than we can implement them. Reality fissures tore through the chamber, disintegrating everything they touched. Equipment exploded in showers of sparks as containment protocols failed one by one. Adam's voice cut through the chaos over the comm. All coalition forces evacuate immediately. This is not a drill. Marines streamed past Adam as he held the line at the portal chamber entrance. The singularity baffles flickered and failed, no longer able to hold back the tide of destruction. As the last of his troops made it to safety, Adam locked eyes with Varys across the disintegrating chamber. No words were needed. They both knew what had to be done. They sprinted for the black core at the heart of the vault, ducking and weaving through waves of entropic energy that threatened to erase them from existence. They reached the central platform just as the floor began to crumble beneath their feet. It's been an honor, Varys said, clasping Adam's arm. Adam nodded. We gave them hell, didn't we? Together, they activated the isometric stasis field. A shimmering bubble enveloped them, as time and space bent around their frozen forms. With their last act of free will, they triggered the counter-entropic detonation. Outside, coalition ships barely escaped as a shockwave of unimaginable power erupted from the planet's surface. The Forge Temple vanished in a blinding flash, leaving behind a yawning chasm where solid ground once stood. For a heart-stopping moment, a white hole singularity flared into existence, threatening to consume everything in its path. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, it winked out of existence. Jack stared at the monitor in stunned silence. Where the ancient vault once stood, there was nothing but a scarred, empty void, a fitting monument to the sacrifices made this day.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.